Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. There's a silent game being played in every interaction between a man and a woman. It's not always about what you say, but about who you are, how you carry yourself, what you tolerate, and what energy you bring into her space. A man's value isn't measured by the car he drives or the clothes he wears, but by the boundaries he keeps, the respect he commands, and the identity he refuses to compromise. But here's the truth that's rarely spoken. Most men unknowingly lower their value in front of a woman. They think they're being kind, they think they're being romantic, but in reality, they're giving away something sacred, their masculine frame, their purpose, and ultimately, their power. In this video, we're breaking down the 4 most common behaviors that kill your value in front of a woman. Each chapter will not only reveal what these habits are, but also give you the mindset and tools to never fall into these traps again. Whether you're dating, in a relationship, or simply building your identity as a man, this message is for you. If you want to be respected, admired, and deeply desired, not just liked, then what you'll hear in this video will shift how you move forever. So before we dive deep, take a moment right now, like this video, subscribe to the Stoic Golden Tribe, share it with a man who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. Your engagement helps spread this mission to more men who are ready to reclaim their value. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Seeking Approval. The silent assassin of masculinity. There's a subtle behavior that can completely dissolve a woman's respect for a man. The need for her approval. You won't always see it at first. It's not loud, it doesn't wear a sign, and it often comes disguised as kindness. But over time, it erodes a man's presence until the woman no longer feels protected, challenged, or inspired. Seeking approval might seem harmless. You want her to be happy. You want her to like you. You're trying to get it right. But here's the truth. When you make her opinion of you more important than your opinion of yourself, you give away your power. Let's break this down. A man who constantly seeks approval begins to move in reaction to her moods, her words, her validation. He starts choosing his words carefully so she doesn't get upset. He waits for her to say yes before he makes a decision. He tries to avoid conflict at all costs, thinking peace equals love. But here's what actually happens. She begins to feel like he's afraid of her, not in the physical sense, but emotionally, spiritually, he's afraid to stand on his own 2 feet. She begins to sense that he doesn't trust his own judgment. And the more he seeks her validation, the more she doubts his leadership. Here's the paradox. A woman may enjoy being heard, but she doesn't want to lead the relationship. She wants to feel your presence, not your permission seeking. Let's go even deeper. Imagine a man who constantly asks, "What do you think I should do?" Or, "Are you okay with this?" Or, "Do you think I handled that right?" On the surface, these questions seem thoughtful, but underneath, they communicate one thing: I don't trust myself. And when a man doesn't trust himself, how can a woman trust him? One therapist who worked with hundreds of couples noticed this pattern. The relationships where women lost desire almost always involved men who sought approval more than they expressed direction. The fire faded not because the man stopped loving her, but because he stopped being grounded. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore her feelings or act like a dictator. That's not strength, it's insecurity in disguise. What we're talking about is emotional independence, the ability to stay centered in who you are, even when she's uncertain, emotional, or testing your frame. Women don't test you because they want to destroy you. They test you to see if you know who you are, if you stand firm, if you bend when it matters, but not when it compromises your essence. This is where emotional intelligence becomes critical. Let's say your woman is upset. She's in a mood, giving you short responses. The approval-seeking man goes into fix-it mode. "Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Tell me what to do to make it better." But a grounded man reads the moment and stays centered. He knows she might be emotionally flooded, frustrated about something unrelated, or even testing his presence. So instead of reacting, he says calmly, "I'm here when you're ready to talk." He doesn't try to win her approval. He holds the space for her emotions without collapsing his identity. That's leadership, that's security, and that's what builds attraction. In the ancient Stoic tradition, approval from others was considered fleeting, external, and unreliable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This applies directly to how men approach relationships today. When you chase approval, you surrender your inner authority. But when you trust yourself, when you lead from principle rather than permission, you become the man women admire, not just the man they tolerate. Here's another real-world example. A man is planning a weekend trip. He asks his woman, "Would you be okay if I did this?" She says, "I don't know. Maybe we should spend time together instead." Now he's caught. He wants to go, but he also doesn't want to upset her. The approval seeker cancels his plans to stay on her good side. She's temporarily pleased, but over time, her respect wanes. The grounded man says, "I'm taking a weekend to recharge. We'll have time Sunday night. I'll be present with you then." He doesn't need her to approve because he's not moving from guilt. He's moving from intention, from purpose. You don't become valuable by being agreeable. You become valuable by being rooted. A man who knows himself doesn't need applause to feel like a man. His self-worth isn't built on reactions, it's built on identity. Let that sink in. Approval seeking is emotional dependence. And emotional dependence is the fastest way to destroy polarity. A woman can love you, but she can't desire you if she doesn't respect you. And respect doesn't come from trying to please her. It comes from being unshakably yourself. So the next time you feel the urge to ask, "Is this okay?" or "Did I do the right thing?" pause. Ask yourself, "Am I doing this from my center, or am I fishing for reassurance?" The difference between a king and a servant is simple. One leads from within, the other waits for permission. Drop a comment. I attract, not chase. Chapter 2. Over-apologizing. The habit that destroys your authority. There's a phrase we hear so often, it begins to sound harmless. "I'm sorry." And yet when it's used out of place or in excess, it becomes one of the most damaging habits a man can develop in a relationship. Apologies should be sacred, reserved for moments of true reflection, of genuine error, of real ownership. But when a man begins to over-apologize, saying sorry for things he didn't even do wrong, for her mood, for disagreeing, for simply existing in his truth, he slowly erodes the very foundation of masculine power, his authority. Let's be clear. Apologizing when you're in the wrong is mature. It shows emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and strength. But over-apologizing is different. It's when you say sorry not to repair a mistake, but to avoid discomfort, to keep the peace, or to regain favor. And here's what most men don't realize. Every time you say sorry when you don't need to, you lower yourself in her eyes. You teach her that you don't believe in your own perspective, that your presence should shrink to accommodate hers, that your natural masculine boundary is negotiable. Let's look at a common example. A woman becomes distant, cold, or passive-aggressive. Maybe she's dealing with something, maybe not. But the man, sensing a shift in her energy, immediately jumps into fix-it mode. "I'm sorry if I upset you. Sorry if I said the wrong thing. Sorry if I wasn't enough." But the truth is, he didn't do anything wrong. And what happens next? Instead of clarifying the situation, she often becomes more distant. Why? Because she senses he's now trying to manage her emotions rather than standing confidently in his own. He's no longer a mirror of strength, he's become a reflection of her uncertainty. A woman cannot trust a man who cannot hold the tension. This is a subtle but crucial principle in attraction. Women are not drawn to perfection. They are drawn to presence, and presence includes your ability to withstand discomfort without collapsing. When you apologize unnecessarily, You remove all mystery, all power, and all groundedness. You say, "You were right, I am less." And in doing so, you slowly become invisible in her eyes. The most magnetic men in history, whether Stoic philosophers, military leaders, or spiritual teachers, were not men who bowed to emotions they didn't understand. They were men who felt deeply but stood firmly. Marcus Aurelius never apologized for being emperor. He took responsibility when necessary but never begged for affection. Jesus didn't beg the crowd to love him. He spoke truth and let the world adjust. This is the kind of unshakable presence today's men must cultivate, especially in relationships. Let's take another real-world scenario. A woman says, "I don't like how you said that." A man who's rooted might respond, "I hear you. That wasn't my intention, but I stand by what I said." This is powerful. It shows he respects her feelings without abandoning his message. But the over-apologizer says, "I'm sorry, I'll never say that again." He thinks he's earning points. In reality, he's teaching her that he can be guilted out of his truth, that he'll fold to emotional pressure. Over time, that kills respect. And where respect dies, attraction fades quickly. This is especially important during disagreements. A disagreement is not a threat, it's an invitation for alignment. But if a man's only tool is apology, he becomes predictable, submissive, and emotionally reactive. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean becoming soft, it means becoming clear. There's a massive difference between the two. Now you may be asking, what if I did say something wrong? Then yes, own it. Apologize once, clearly, with sincerity, and then move forward without groveling. Never apologize for taking space, for expressing your boundaries, for having standards, for being silent when you're thinking, for choosing rest over texting, for not chasing. These are not insults to her, they are signs you value yourself. Here's the truth. A woman will not value a man who constantly feels the need to apologize for being masculine. That includes strength, silence, logic, boundaries, and purpose. Now let's go deeper. Over-apologizing is often a symptom of childhood conditioning. Many men were raised in homes where their emotions were punished, where they were taught that peace came from silence and obedience. So in adulthood, they associate conflict with danger, and apology becomes their shield. But you are no longer that child. You are a man, and your presence does not need permission to exist. It's okay for a woman to be upset. It's okay for her to disagree. It's okay for tension to exist in the relationship. That doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're human. The goal isn't to eliminate conflict. The goal is to handle it with strength and clarity. You don't lead a relationship by walking on eggshells. You lead it by building a path, even if that path sometimes includes resistance. Here's your practice. The next time you feel the urge to say sorry, pause. Ask yourself, am I apologizing to protect my ego or to take ownership? If the answer is ego, hold it. Stand in the fire. Let her emotions rise and fall, and stay calm. Your strength lies in your stillness, not in your surrender. Drop a comment. I protect my energy, not my ego. Chapter 3. Over-availability, the death of mystery and masculine energy. One of the greatest lies modern men have been sold is this: if you're always there for her, she'll love you more. It sounds noble, doesn't it? Be available, be present, be reliable. But there's a fine line between being there and being too available. And when you cross that line, you kill your value in front of a woman. Why? Because mystery matters. Space matters. A woman cannot long for what she always has. She cannot admire what is constantly in front of her. And no matter how kind, good, or loyal you are, if your time, energy, and presence are always up for grabs, she stops craving you. Let's get real. Most men don't do this out of confidence. They do it out of fear. Fear that if they don't respond quickly, she'll get upset. Fear that if they say no, she'll lose interest. Fear that if they pull away, she'll walk away. So what do? They overcompensate. Always texting, always calling, always adjusting their schedule, always showing up on her time, not theirs. But here's what's happening under the surface. He's putting her at the center of his world and taking himself out of it. The result? She feels smothered, not protected, not adored. smothered. Because women don't fall in love with men who orbit them. They fall in love with men who orbit purpose, men who move with direction, with focus, with discipline. Men who invite her into their life, not men who abandon their life for her. Let's look at a real-life example. A man meets a woman. There's chemistry. She's intrigued. But instead of letting the connection breathe, he floods her with attention. Good morning texts, midday check-ins, random gifts, cancelling plans with friends to see her. Always available, always responsive, always eager. At first, she might be flattered, but soon boredom creeps in. Why? Because the chase is gone, the unpredictability is gone, the masculine polarity has collapsed. Think of masculine energy as fire. It needs air, space to burn. If you smother it, it dies. The same goes for attraction. A man with high value doesn't disappear. He doesn't play games, but he respects his time. He protects his energy. He doesn't chase connection. He invites it and lets her come to him when she's ready. He's not rude. He's rooted. Look at the powerful men throughout history. Marcus Aurelius didn't have time to send 5 texts a day. He was running an empire. He loved deeply, but within the boundaries of his mission. Even Jesus, a man of deep compassion, took time alone in the wilderness. He wasn't constantly available, even to those closest to him. Why? Because purpose came first, solitude came first, clarity came first. That's what made his presence so powerful. Modern men have lost this. They think availability is the currency of love, but the real currency is presence, and presence is only powerful when it's rare, intentional, and grounded in purpose. Let's go deeper. When you're always available, you unconsciously communicate one thing: you don't have a life outside of her. You have time, but no purpose. You have interest, but no discipline. You have attention, but no edge. And here's the hard truth. Women do not desire what's easy. They admire what's earned, what's respected, what makes them feel chosen, not by convenience, but by quality. A woman doesn't fall for the man who shows up every time she snaps her fingers. She falls for the man who shows up with depth, intention, and masculine presence because he chose to, not because he had nothing better to do. Now, this doesn't mean you ghost her. This doesn't mean you become emotionally unavailable or distant to create desire. That's manipulation, not maturity. What it does mean is you prioritize your time, your mission, your routine, and your standards. You don't cancel the gym to FaceTime. You don't push back your reading, your work, or your sleep just because she texts at 11 p.m. You don't jump at every call like you've been waiting by the phone. Because here's what high-value women truly want: a man whose time is valuable, not because he says it is, but because his life reflects it. There's a saying, don't water yourself down so someone can swallow you easier. The same applies here. Don't shrink your purpose to fit into her attention span. Don't trade your momentum for her comfort. Don't dim your fire so she can feel warm whenever she pleases. You want to be desired? Start by making your presence earned. Here's a mindset shift that will change your energy overnight. I am not available. I am intentional. Say that again. I am not available. I am intentional. That means you don't just reply. You respond when it aligns with your energy. You don't just show up. You offer your presence with purpose. You don't just give time. You give value, depth, and clarity. And here's the magic. The less available you are, the more meaningful your presence becomes. The less you give freely, the more she treasures what you do offer. That's the law of scarcity, and it applies directly to human behavior. So if you find yourself always being there, always initiating, always adjusting your life to fit hers, it's time to pause. Ask yourself, do I value my own time? Does my life reflect my standards? Would I respect me if I were her? When you shift from seeking connection to creating attraction, everything changes. You move from the background to the spotlight. You stop chasing and start choosing. Your value isn't in how often you show up. It's in how grounded you are when you do. Drop a comment. I am intentional, not available. Chapter 4. Seeking validation, the hidden weakness. Women instinctively reject. There's a silent killer of masculine energy that many men don't even realize they're carrying. It doesn't always show up with words. Sometimes it hides in a glance, in a subtle change in posture, in a hesitation before speaking. And yet, it speaks volumes. Validation-seeking behavior. It's one of the fastest ways a man unknowingly destroys his value in front of a woman. It doesn't matter how attractive, successful, or charming you are. If she senses you need her approval to feel like a man, the attraction dies. What does seeking validation actually look like? It's the need to be reassured that she likes you, the need to hear that you're doing things right, the constant checking in to make sure you didn't upset her. It's the text that says, "Are you mad?" or the look that says, "Do you still want me?" On the surface, these seem harmless, even caring, but underneath, they reveal a core issue, a man who doesn't trust his own value, so he borrows hers. Here's the harsh truth. Women do not want to mother the man they are attracted to. They want to admire him. They want to feel safe in his presence, not responsible for his self-esteem. The moment she becomes the source of your worth, she subconsciously begins to lose respect for you. It starts with small things. You second-guess yourself around her. You wait for her reaction before making a decision. You change your opinion to match hers. You laugh too quickly at her jokes. You hold back your truth so she doesn't get upset. And slowly, without realizing it, you become a reflection of her energy, not a foundation of your own. This doesn't just kill attraction, it reverses polarity. She becomes the stable one. You become the emotional drifter. And the feminine cannot fully trust the masculine when the masculine seeks to be approved instead of standing firm. A man takes a woman on a date. He picks the spot, leads the evening, carries confident conversation. But halfway through, he starts scanning her for reactions. Do you like this place? Is everything okay? Are you having fun? She senses the shift. He's no longer just being himself. He's performing for her validation. And even though she might appreciate the kindness, a subtle voice inside her says, "He needs me to approve of him." That voice creates distance, emotional, then physical, because the more you need her to validate you, the less she can admire you. Now let's bring in some ancient wisdom. The Stoic philosophers believed that a man's peace must come from within. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things." In other words, do not let your self-worth rise and fall with how others perceive you, even a woman you care about. True masculine confidence comes from doing what is right, not what is applauded. From knowing who you are, not proving who you are. Think of the men who carried this energy. Jesus didn't ask the Pharisees if he was doing a good job. Marcus Aurelius didn't need Roman approval to govern wisely. Muhammad didn't seek validation from his enemies or even his followers when standing in truth. These were men who moved from purpose, not popularity. You must do the same. That means you stop looking to her for feedback about your manhood. You stop waiting for signs that you're doing it right. You stop asking her to reassure you that she wants you, loves you, or needs you. Why? Because if you're leading, if you're grounded, if you're moving with clear masculine presence, she will feel it. She won't need to say it. Validation seeking is insecurity dressed up as attentiveness. And high-value women can tell the difference instantly. Here's the mindset shift. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be aligned. Aligned with your mission, with your values, with your direction. A woman can fall in love with a man like that, even if she doesn't always agree with him, because she knows he's not easily moved. That's what makes her feel safe. That's what makes her lean in, not because he needs her, but because he respects himself. Now, that doesn't mean you become cold. It doesn't mean you never listen to her or value her emotions. Emotional intelligence is still key, but it means you no longer depend on her reactions to feel whole. You stay open, but centered. You stay present, but grounded. When you stop chasing approval, something incredible happens. You radiate peace, and peace is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who are calm in uncertainty, who don't flinch when emotions rise, who don't panic when the energy shifts, because they know no matter what happens, you won't lose yourself in it. That's real masculinity, not just strength, but rootedness. Here's how to apply it. If she pulls back, you don't beg. You observe, you stay composed. If she challenges you, you don't fold. You listen, then stand in your truth. If she compliments you, you accept it, but you don't need it. If she's unsure about you, you remain sure of yourself. The more detached you are from needing validation, the more attractive you become. Because now, you're free. And freedom is irresistible. So don't be the man who needs her approval. Be the man who respects her heart, but doesn't outsource his power to it. The most powerful man in the room isn't the one who is loved by everyone. It's the one who loves himself enough not to need it. Drop a comment. I move with purpose, not permission.